The blue iris is a delight to come out and see when it's in bloom. Even when it's not in bloom, it's a wonderful plant. So today I want to concentrate on showing you how the blue iris propagates and how easy it is to multiply your plants in a very short time. Hey, it's Elise at Concerning Gardens and More, and I'm glad that you stopped by. I always enjoy the springtime when I can come out and see the irises in bloom. I made a video a while back about the irises. It's on the channel if you want to check it out. Pretty plant. There are numerous walking irises, even blue walking iris. One of the ways that you can tell this particular variety apart is that this long stem that supports the flower is actually longer than the whole plant. This is Neomerica gracilis. Now it's called Trimecia. Beautiful purple. It's called blue, but actually I think it's more purple bloom with a tiger throat. Isn't that neat? Very pretty. You plant these in masses. Plant them singularly in containers in the ground. Very low maintenance. Disease insect resistant. In our Zone 9B, they like to be under dappled shade. If you move them out into so much sun, they will scald and burn. And they like water. This particular iris is not a bog plant, but it does respond to water. And when you have a mass planting like this, you'll get a flush of blooms, it will relax, and then some more will bloom. Now each plant usually only puts up one bloom, but the nice thing about it is they do multiply really fast. Now it has a cousin, Neomerica longifolia. Let me show you that because there is one right here in bloom. And we will talk more about this wonderful, beautiful plant later. Yellow with the tiger marking throat. It's a little bigger than the blue iris. Even when it's not in bloom, it is fantastic. It makes wonderful backdrops for annuals, other colorful plants. Wonderful in containers. Use it as your taller centerpiece. Or use it as the filler. Very nice. Okay, let's go to the potting table and I will show you how the plant actually grows. The Neomerica gracilis, Trimecia, blue walking iris, is a real beauty. We've got a storm moving in, folks. I know it's windy. I apologize, but this is the only time I can make the video. Okay. Sorry, hit the camera. I wanted to show you just a little bit about how the plant propagates, because it will multiply exponentially. If you have the resources, and if you're buying the plant from a store or online, buy 3 or 4, or buy as many as you can. Then grow them out, and then the next season you'll be surprised at how fast they multiply. Several ways that the plant multiplies: through plantlets, through starter plants, through rhizomes, and through seeds. I don't have any seeds. It's not the right time of the year for seeds. It has to bloom out, and then it takes a little while for the seed. The seed is a small capsule. It starts off green, and then it will turn brown, and it will be full of little bitty hard black seeds. If you are collecting your seeds, leave your capsule on the plant until they turn brown. And then you have to watch them kind of close, because you'll go out one day and that little brown capsule will be split open and all your seeds dispersed. I do not propagate the blue iris via the seeds. I do collect them though, because I'm an avid seed saver, just in case I ever need them. It does take a little longer to grow the iris with the seed. If you are growing from seed, take your seed and soak it several hours overnight. They're so tiny you won't be able to really scarify them. And then you can plant them out and be patient. This is considered a tropical plant, but you can grow it in containers and overwinter. You can grow it as a house plant. You can grow it outside in masses. You can do single plantings for pops of color. You can use it as backdrops. Not edible, not medicinal, not a great big pollinator magnet. It's a beauty. It's an ornamental beauty. Okay? Now, we've talked about the seeds. The plant itself grows on a small rhizome. And here is a little plant I just picked up. And you can see that little rhizome forming. And this will form roots. And there's a little root there. So I can plant that. Just snug it in some soil. That's all you have to do. Just enough to cover the rhizome in. That's all. If you don't have time to plant it in soil, or if you don't want to at that time, take the little plant, and I call this a plantlet, and put it in a little glass of water, a little container of water. All you need is water enough to cover the rhizome area, and it will grow out roots, and then you can plant it at your convenience. So rhizomes are very, very easy. If you've ever grown anything on rhizomes, you know they are super, super good. I'm going to take this one apart because I need to repot it anyway. And this one has 3 plants in it. And this one is a rhizome off of the bigger plant. And let me show you this. This particular variety of iris can have 1, 2, or even up to 3 blooms per stem or stalk or scape. And that's this harder stem that comes up. For every bloom that you have on the plant, you can have a new little plantlet. So these are plantlets. You can pick these off now and plant them and have a new plant. They aren't going to bloom this season. What I do is I leave mine on. And then I take them off the first of next season. And that gives them time to still be attached to the mother plant, to still be taking energy and food, and they grow really nice. Like that. And these are ready to bloom. In fact, that one might have a little bud coming. So I don't take these off. So if you're new to growing the irises, there's all different kind of ways to grow iris, and it depends upon what iris you have, because there are multiple varieties of iris. But on this particular one, I always leave these little plantlets on as long as I possibly can. Now, sometimes they get knocked off anyway. But I'm going to try and leave these on. But I am going to dump this plant out a little bit. This is a trade gallon container, and look at the root system. I usually put 2 plants per container. When they get to a size that they're too big, then I separate them out. Okay, I just broke that one off. This was the rhizome, and you can see the rhizome on it, from the original mother plant. So it propagates by itself via rhizome, and you can just divide your rhizomes up. Now, these are really small rhizomes. So you want to wait until the plant, the new plant, is large enough to be out on its own. So I'm going to repot those. Just any soil that you want. If the root system is too long, you can always break a little bit off or cut it off. This is the fan part. And that's one of the common names, is the fan plant. And again, just snug it in. I'm going to put this other one over on the other side. This gives the rhizomes room to spread out. Your plants will grow a little faster. I can come back fill some dirt in here, and they'll be fine. Sit them in the shade. Again, this particular variety does not like hot, scalding shade. And this little baby, I might stick in here too. Now, it's up to you aesthetically how you want to place your plants. I kind of place them so that all the fans are pointing in the same direction. But that's how easy it is to propagate this through rhizomes. So again, if you buy several plants, let them go a season. That next season, you'll have rhizomes that you can divide, you'll have plantlets that you can divide, and even starter plants. So what's the difference in a starter plant and a plantlet? Well, a plantlet is that little small piece that I just showed you. It's not going to bloom this year. A starter plant will bloom this season. It's not so much the actual size of it, it's that it's old enough to bloom. That's a starter plant. The little plantlets aren't going to bloom that particular season. Now look at this. You know, I was saying you might get 2 blooms per head. Actually, there's 2 blooms here, and then there's another bloom coming out here. So this one plant, this one stem, it's going to provide me 3 blooms. Each one of those blooms is going to make a plant. Isn't that neat? And you can just leave it on your mother plant for the first season. The beginning of your next season, go ahead and divide your plants out. The longer you leave them on the mother plant, the larger they are, the faster they will bloom for you. If you get yellow leaves, you might check your exposure to sun, if they're overwatered or underwatered. And here's that 2 little ones that I'm going to leave on. This bigger one, I'm going to go ahead and take off. Now, there's a couple of ways to take these off. Actually, you can just snap that whole stem off. It will come off. Or you can cut it off. When you go to the end, let me move those out of the way. I'm sorry, I am kind of in a hurry. I'm trying to beat the storm. I'll slow down. When you take this off, trim that up, neaten it up a little bit. All you do is just pull the stem off. That's it. You can water root this, or you can go ahead and just put it in your container. That nice? So, this is a starter plant. It may or may not bloom this season, since I was so late in taking it off the mother plant, but still really good chance that it is going to bloom. And the blooms will start from the base and come up, that bloom stem. Let me show you on this one. See, the bloom stem comes up. When it first starts coming up, it's going to look like a regular stem. You can really tell the difference though. These are soft, flexible leaves. This stem is not. It's got feels like a little cord inside, and it's not as soft and flexible and bendy as the leaves. But that's it. Shade, water it good. That's all you have to do. Sit back and wait. Now I can put another one in here. I'm going to go back and put this one in. Very low maintenance. About once a year I come out, I repot. I try to do it either early in the spring or I wait till after they bloom completely out, so I don't interfere with the bloom cycle. And I like to put my fans to where they're both facing the same direction. You do not have to. Now this is the one that has a plantlet on it, the 2 plantlets. I'm leaving it. Again, I want these to grow more. So that one's done. All right, starter plants, when you get them, you just put them in the soil, cover the rhizome. If you don't have time to put them in soil, put them in a little glass of water and they will water root. These plants are incredibly hardy. So we've looked at the little starter plants and we've looked at the rhizome. We talked about seeds. The plantlets, ideally, leave on your mother plant. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You can take those little plantlets off and plant them. Now, here is another big mother plant, starter plant. These I would call starter plants. They are old enough to start setting bloom. And there's 2 on this one. That neat? Again, put them directly into soil or put them in water and water root them after you take them apart. And see, the roots are already, I don't know if you can see that, little bitty white roots are already starting. This brown appendage looking thing is not the seed pod. The seed pod can come out of these, but right now this one does not have a seed pod in it. It's actually part of the dried flower. You will definitely be able to tell the seed pod. But leave these on and see if your seed pod comes out. So I'm going to take these off, and again, go back to the mother plant, hold the mother plant down a little bit and just snap, and it comes off. If you don't want to snap it off, take your scissors and cut it. Now here, just twist a little bit. If you don't want to do that, you can take your scissors and cut it. So I have some roots, I have a rhizome, I have a nice pretty little plant. This one is actually large enough or old enough to bloom this season. So I'll get another pot ready and go ahead and plant that out. And I'm going to plant it in with its sibling. Pop it off. Now the leftover stems you can put in your compost pile, you can use for chop and drop, but see how stiff that is? And you can feel that center cord going through. Rhizome, little root system just barely starting. So I'm going to get a container and I'm going to plant these 2 in a container with the fans equal. Again, you don't have to. You can plant them like that. You can do any configuration. It's your plants. Really neat. Really neat. So easy. Now here's another large one. I'm going to go ahead and take off. I do like to go ahead and snap the stem out from the mother plant and not just cut this off at the end. This isn't going to do anything else, and it's just going to die, and it can sap some more energy from the mother plant. So take it off, get rid of it. And there we have another one. I would consider this a starter plant. Again, it's not the size, it's the age. So if you let these go, they'll bloom later this season, or if not, next season for sure. And again, every place that you have a bloom, you're going to have a new plant. And you can have 1, 2, or 3 blooms per stem. Isn't that pretty? They do smell really, really good. And they do attract some pollinators, but they're not a huge magnet. Wonderful in containers. Use it as your filler. Put annuals in front of it when it's not in bloom. It's very lightweight. The wind's going to blow it all over. It kind of gives you a tropical look. Okay. So we did rhizomes, And I know I'm going over this again, but I want to make sure I covered everything since I was going kind of fast to beat the storm. We have rhizomes. We have those small plantlets that aren't going to bloom this year. We have the starter plants, which are really, really good and will probably bloom this year. But you know, there's no guarantee. Nature does what nature wants to do. And look at the size of this little starter plant. Now you would think that this little plant wouldn't be big enough to bloom, but it's old enough and it's got a bloom coming. So that means I plant this out. When this blooms, I have another plant. So it can just reproduce and reproduce and reproduce for you. Nice, huh? And of course we have seeds. I'll see if I have a photo of a seed in my gallery that I can put up and show you. They are called walking irises because when this stem produces a flower, it gets really heavy and it starts bending over, just like this one is bending over. And then these ends are going to attach to the ground, grow roots, and grow new plants. You can let your plants do that, and then every so often come out and pick up some of the new plants because they are going to separate from the mother. This is such an easy plant to grow, and it's such a beautiful plant. Grow it everywhere. Grow it in containers if you're too cool to grow it outside. All right, I'm going to go get a couple of pots ready, put these in. That's it. I hope you've enjoyed learning about how easy it is to propagate the irises, because actually you don't have to do much of anything. The plant itself takes care of most of the propagation. All you have to do is come in after a while and remove some of the starter plants or the plantlets, or divide your rhizomes. But no worries, no hassles. My biggest problem is, look how big some of these get. My biggest problem is the neighborhood animals that like to come and play in these for some reason. Look how large that fan is. Isn't that pretty? And that's the one that has the two with another one coming blooms. Now I could plant this out in a big pot by itself. And I might do that. And this is something you don't have to do. You just play it by ear. They're your plants. You do what you want to do with them. Okay, if you get a chance, check out the other video on the blue iris. And if you get a chance, go down into the description section of the videos, and there's a couple of links there where you can purchase seeds and young plants. We are a new channel. If you could help us grow by liking, sharing, subscribing, watch the video in its entirety. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Till we speak again, I hope that you have a fantastic Blue Iris Day.